Can you say to us today, in front of all these cameras, that Black Lives Matter?
Did you just ask me if Black Lives Matter?
Yes, we want to hear you say it.
Of course, Black Lives Matter.
Then fire your car!
Are you a racist?
What about a black life? What matters about a black life to you, Mayor Pete? What matters about a black life to you? Answer that for in just months.
Same thing that matters to me about my own.
Answer that.
Election by giving it to the person who got the most votes. Just a thought. Brings us
Because
together.
this country was built.
And
It is
water
a movement
coolers,
reaching into
and
church basements,
and barber
and in our
shops, into
schools,
universities,
and with our
union
kids.
halls.
And if the boys
we can
light
change
up
the
the
neighborhood,
neighborhood,
then we
then
can
we
light
can
up the
change the
city.
city.
Shines as a beacon
to the
around the
world.
world once more.
And this is our chance to answer that
I
call.
want to get back to Pete Buttigieg and his comment about experience. Pete, you'll agree that the service that we both have provided to our country as veterans by itself does not qualify us to serve as Commander-in-Chief. I think the most recent example of your inexperience in national security and foreign policy came from your recent careless statement about how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico to fight the cartels. As Commander-in-Chief, leader of our armed forces, I bring extensive experience serving for 7 years in Congress, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committee, meeting with leaders of countries around the world, working with military commanders of different commands, dealing with high-level national security briefings, understanding what's necessary, the preparation that I've gotten to walk in on day one to serve as Commander-in-Chief.
Congresswoman, thank
So
you.
I've
Mr.
gotta
Mayor, I'll
respond
allow
to
you to
that.
respond.
Thank you, Taiwan. I was inspired when we marched together over the summer, and I'll tell you why I was inspired. Because you didn't talk about what you wanted for you. You talked about wanting to provide for your child, and that is why everyone here supports you, and we support 15 in the union for all fast food workers. I don't care how you're supporting the president. You deserve $15 an hour. You deserve a union, and we stand with you. The president says it's a good economy. It's not a good economy until everybody can get ahead. That is what we believe in, and that is why I'm standing here. No matter who you support, I support you. We support you. We stand together, and we will not stop until one job is enough in the United States of America. Thank you. You think I'm workers right?
Check out our disability plan. What we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the sub-minimum wage comes to an end. We've got to do it in federal legislation. We got to have disability.
What other committees? How? What structure barrier are you going to change for the black workers?
Candidates vying for the White House will appear at the first Democratic debate in the 2020 presidential run this week, and a likely focus during Wednesday and Thursday's debates will be race and civil rights. At an emotional town hall last night, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg heard from angry constituents after police-involved shooting left a black man dead last week. CBS News Chief Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cordes has the latest.
We have tried but not succeeded to increase diversity in the police department, and we need help.
At home in South Bend, Indiana, Buttigieg was confronted by accusations of bias in his city's police force.
Y'all got racism inside of your police department. How are we supposed to trust this? I am raising a 7-year-old grandson that when he sees the police, he is afraid. That is not what's supposed to happen.
Racial tensions flared last week after a white South Bend police officer shot and killed a black man who was allegedly holding a knife. The officer was wearing a body camera, but it was not turned on.
If anyone who is on patrol is shown to be a racist or to do something racist in a way that is substantiated, that is their last day on the street.
Senator Warren, 45 seconds to respond.
So the mayor just recently had a fundraiser that was held in a wine cave full of crystals and served $900 a bottle wine. Think about who comes to that. He had promised that every fundraiser he would do would be open door, but this one was closed door. We made the decision many years ago that rich people in smoke-filled rooms would not pick the next president of the United States. Billionaires in wine caves should not pick the next president of the United States.
So can I look to you to spread that sense of hope to those that you know? Come on.
Sorry, we don't like your Obama impression, kid. Can we just...
I do not have evidence that there has been discipline for racist behavior in the case of Warren. But if
you truly running for president and you want people to vote for you?
But if
you running for president and you want black people to vote for you? That's a downfall. That's not gonna happen.
I'm not asking for your vote.
You ain't gonna get it either.
I'm talking about building up alliances, and if your question is about experience, let's also talk about judgment. One of the foreign leaders you mentioned meeting was Bashar al-Assad. I have, in my experience, such as it is, whether you think it counts or not, since it wasn't accumulated in Washington, enough judgment that I would not have sat down with a murderous dictator like that.
Congresswoman Gabbard, let me allow you to respond. Thank you. You were asked directly whether you would send our troops to Mexico to fight cartels, and your answer was yes. The fact checkers can check this out. No. But your point about judgment is absolutely correct. Our commander-in-chief does need to have good judgment. And what you've just pointed out is that you would lack the courage to meet with both adversaries and friends to ensure the peace and national security of our nation. I take the example of those leaders who have come before us, leaders like JFK, who met with Khrushchev, like Roosevelt, who met with Stalin.
Juicy.
Oh yeah.
Juicy.
This one is great because the hypocrisy, and then, hey guys, let the Democratic Party know I've been told that they really care about Russian interference. Let's see if that maintains itself in this. So, Democratic presidential candidate and former South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg is facing questions after recent revelations that his 2020 effort has taken campaign contributions from an infamous Republican Party billionaire with direct links to the Russian oligarchy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes. As of this writing, they have donated thousands of dollars to Pete for America, Inc., Pete Buttigieg's official campaign organization. Guys, we have Russians in the American elections. Why is no one calling this out? Anyway, citing public data available via FECN from Campaign Finance Data Clearinghouse Open Secrets, May notes that most of Blavinik's, that's the person we're talking about, largest was distributed among Republicans during the 2015-2016. So it's even worse. He's a Republican funding Russian who is also Ukrainian.
Plot thickens.
Yes, yes, and he has ties to Vladimir Putin
He probably
himself.
has a lot of ties because he's very rich.
Probably has a lot of Russian ties. That's
Little Russian.
Anyway,
the best
silk. Enough about Pete. Let's keep going. So he's accounted for 6.35 billion of their spending, and that was to the Republicans in 2015 to 16. He has largely been considered problematic by the media and the Beltway establishment because of his documented ties to Vladimir Putin and the Russian leaders' inner circle. Something that I thought Rachel Maddow, as they're going to go in, has talked in, and she has.
And then there's this. I rest my case.
And hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. So it stands to reason that Hillary Clinton's name would somehow come up in the Iowa caucus, and it has. Even though she wasn't even on the ballot, apparently it was one of her longtime staffers, a couple of them, who created the app that turned the Iowa caucus into a bit of an embarrassment. And as usual, with anything that has Ms. Clinton's name on it, Bernie Sanders ends up getting hurt in all of this. That's right. Instead of proclaiming victory before millions of people watching on TV last night, Bernie Sanders, along with Pete Buttigieg, learned just a few hours ago that they are winning the Iowa caucus with more than about half the precincts reporting. More than half, actually.
And today marks the beginning of the end for Donald Trump.
So we don't know all the results. With hope in our hearts and fire in our bellies, we're going on to New Hampshire, on to the nomination, and on to chart a new course for this country that we love.
So there's the candidates trying to make sense of this thing, which is pretty nonsensical, really. So what happened, right? There was an app created to try and automatically update the numbers. Unfortunately, some precinct officials couldn't even figure out how to download this thing, right? Because in some cases, they literally could not remember their Apple IDs. So they couldn't download because they had to put in their Apple ID. And when they finally did download it, the app didn't work. At that point, it was decided that precinct officials would call in their results by phone. But that caused the lines to get jammed. Can you imagine like 1,700 people all calling one place to share information involving hundreds and hundreds of numbers? Oh, and they had to do it, what, one by one? You get the picture, right? But wait, there's more. It turns out that not only were Hillary Clinton's election team members responsible for the design of the app, but that one of the presidential candidates in the election invested money in this company. Pete Buttigieg and his campaign contributed money to the tech firm who designed the app, the same Pete Buttigieg who is now leading in the state that used the app that he invested in.
On a bike in his suit, riding away. I didn't know he'd ride it in the suit.
By giving it to the person who got the most votes. Just a thought. Brings us
because
together. Now, this country was built.
And
it is a movement reaching into church basements and barbershops, into universities and union halls.
And if the voice
we can
can
light
change
up
the
neighborhoods
world,
and we
it
can
can
light up
change
the
the
city.
city.
Shines as a beacon around the world once more.
And this is our chance to answer that call.